because there's money out here.
Mm-hmm.
And people have learned how to position themselves to tap into that money.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm learning. You know, how you flow with it, how it works to position yourself, the conversations that come with it, and what you need, the pieces you need to be successful in it. And it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, it doesn't take a lot. And I didn't realize it until you don't know until you get in there. It can be intimidating because you don't know it, but when he put you in the middle of it and you're starting to see the pieces, I'm like, this didn't take much.
Yeah.
And you learn, be courageous.
Welcome back to another episode of Empower716. I'm your host, Rob Lowry, and this is a podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs, business owners, career shifters, and side hustlers, those who are committed to growing their life and business in the Western New York area. So I am very happy and excited to have a special guest in the building, Lakia Perry. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
It is exciting to have somebody who I went to high school with. Mm-hmm. We go way back.
Yes, we do.
And I was just saying, like, how it's been a long time since we've seen each other. I mean, I've seen you all over Niagara Falls. I mean, I don't know, Lakia Perry, when you say that name,
mm-hmm.
you know something. You and it's positive, because not everybody who know your name is like, oh, stay away from that person.
Right.
But you've been doing some great things in the community and over the years, and obviously business wise. And so I want to just start with the question is, like, who is Lakia Perry?
I'm just me. I born and raised in Niagara Falls. A mother.
Yes.
I'm a wife, mother of 6. So I'm going to go back to that.
Wow,
6 children,
awesome.
3 boys, 3 girls. My youngest is 16. My oldest is 31.
Wow.
I am a real estate agent. I'm a worker. I am a believer in Christ Jesus. I am that's what's my foundation. A member of Bethlehem Revival Temple. Where Bishop Palmer is my bishop. Can't have to give a shout out. You got to
shout out to Bishop.
You got to give Bishop shout out. And that's who I am. Just family.
And you say it so humbly, but I know that having, being a mother,
mm-hmm.
being a wife, and a mother of 6 children. I want to just maybe start off, like, how do you balance all of that right now? Having taken on all those roles.
I used to call it organized chaos. I used to. I did. I was like, organized chaos. I don't know how it is, because when the kids are growing up and you're trying to keep everything together.
Yeah.
Now I'm more like, you know what, Lord, you got to take over.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, it's not going to get done. So I just let things just kind of flow. Yeah. And just like whatever needs to be attended to at that moment, he brings it to remembrance, or it comes to my cell phone. Like, oh yeah, that is what I got to do. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Well, I love it because the way that you're glowing right now, seeing all of those roles, like, we all are trying to juggle multiple roles in our life
all the time.
And to have your smile on your face, mm-hmm. looking good, feeling good. How do you stay in that place, that place? I know you're not always happy, but just that mindset.
Oh yeah, we have challenges in life. Okay, I'm praying without ceasing.
Gotta have prayer. Have prayer.
That's just my foundation. Prayer, my faith, my whom I believe in.
Yeah,
that's what keeps it. Because if not, who would I be?
Yeah.
To be honest, where would I be? That's how I feel. That's my glue.
It's so important, like, no, regardless of what faith you practice, but what I found for myself, like, how you have your grandmother, your family who talked about Jesus and everything mm-hmm, else, mm-hmm. but it's like, and I know it's cliche now, but like, once you know him for yourself,
man,
and you've been through some things,
yeah, he brought you through it. Now, okay, it's like, oh, he real. He's real to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm grateful for that.
And then there's also another thing that all the things that you used to go after, and at least at this point in my life and the stage, is just understanding like peace is really an awesome thing. Like,
it feels good.
Yeah.
It does. It's like, even in the midst of the storms, because life just happens.
Yeah.
And then you don't have control. And you know, it's just like, okay, when it hits you and things hit you in life, it's like, okay, Lord, what do you say? What do you want me to do? And then when you have those moments that you feel like you have to cry, let it out.
You got to be honest. I learned that too, is that you got to be honest too. It's just like not suppressing what you're going on, like what you got going on, and just especially during prayer time. And it took me a while to understand, like, with my relationship with God, is it used to be so like practical and routine because that's kind of what I was taught.
Yep.
But I realized, like, if I wanted to have this intimate relationship with God, I got to just be transparent with them, being real. Did you find that along your journey?
Yes. Because like same thing. Grew up Pew baby, my grandmother. You know, we're family actually. We're cousins through marriage, and after, so basically when I had moved away from Niagara Falls, and I actually said, I'm never moving back to Niagara Falls. I said, I am never. I was running away from everybody, you know, because I was just running. Yep. And one day he was like, you got to go home. And he's talking to me. It's just like, he's a person sitting right next to me. And I'm like, I got to go home. You know, and he's like, you got to go home. And I said, okay. And I had a peace about it.
Wow.
And that's what helped me. That is what helped me like make that journey. And back to Niagara Falls, I've been back this year, June 17th. Well, actually May. It was the first night I came back in May, 24 years ago.
Wow.
And I was like, and that's where just things started happening, you know, where my relationship began building with him and going through the different things of life and even falling to some degree, to the point where I was like, you know, like you just want to give up sometimes because, you know, I didn't try it all. I can't do it. And then building you back up again. And so you get to that point, it's like, okay. And now with the age that I'm at, you can appreciate it more.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think from what I went through, I can appreciate what I've gone through and why I've gone through it and why I'm still going through it. Because I think as you live, and you're still going to go through things.
You're still going to go through it.
But you learn how to navigate through them.
I did and speaking of Niagara Falls, I did I think a video maybe 2 years ago. And I was going through prayer, and God was like, drive to Niagara Falls. And I'm like, this is crazy. And I have like friends who talked about like God gave them, you know, they deposited in their spirit, and you just had to do it. Yeah. And that never happened to me. And it was like, and I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm driving to Niagara Falls, and I pull up to my old house where I grew up in. And I just sat outside the house. And as I was going into prayer, God was kind of showing me that there was things that I was going through in that moment that I wasn't grateful for. Like I was complaining about certain things, and he was showing me how far he took me.
Wow.
Like I had to take you back to where you started and to see where I took you from. And I was like, and that's why I have a really appreciation. Like, you know, I grew up in Niagara Falls, and I did too want to go far away from it because it was so many things. I was like, just spirits, and it was just
all
like
that you fight
depressed, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't. Yeah. And there were that period where God was showing me was like gratefulness. Yes. Be grateful, and even through the storms, because there's a lesson in the storm.
There's always a lesson in it.
So I appreciate you really sharing that. Like, so I want to know a little bit about, when you talked about your real estate agent, what are some of the things you're currently doing as far as business-wise? Still
doing real estate, helping people purchase homes, sell their home, and more so now, more renters looking for rental property. Well, not just rental property, but looking for a place to rent, because people are getting evicted, you know, because people are selling their homes and evicting the tenants out their homes. And also I'm dabbling in more commercial now, which that's exciting, you know.
Awesome.
And then I am working with a company as well, because in real estate, it goes up and down. So you got to keep that job, you know, so you make sure them bills are paid. Yeah. But I'm working with a development company, and I'm learning the development side. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm like, you're doing something, because you just like adding to my craft and what I can, provide. But also, I'm mentoring a lot of people now too. I found myself being more of a mentor, teaching other new agents. I'm finding a whole bunch of new agents hopping on board, and so I'm like, they call me or they text me, what about this? How do you do this? How do you do that? So I do Zoom calls with teaching how to do buyer packets and seller packets, and to present, how to fill the packets out, and things like that. So I'm excited. I'm kind of little dabbling a little bit of everything.
I love that. Still into real estate. I have a real estate license. I won't say I'm 100% into real estate. I kind of do it more for family and friends right now. Mm-hmm. And I haven't decided whether I'm going to get my license up. Obviously, it's still active. Mm-hmm. But going into it, now I had a coach for my first 2 years of being in the business. And I felt that was so important, because I had this perspective of the glamorous real estate agent. You're just like, I'm gonna sell these houses. I'm gonna make this much money. I'm gonna get on there. And then I got into it. I'm like, okay, this is some work. It's work. So kind of talk about, like, you're helping new agents. Kind of, what are some of the misconceptions? I kind of talked about that glamorous lifestyle, but what are some of the other misconceptions you see for new real estate agents?
It's the work you have to put into it. Yeah. It's not just, you're dealing with different personalities, different people, different cultures, traditions. You're dealing with so many different things when it comes to the people that you're serving. Right. And then you're dealing with the agents that you have to try to, negotiate with, and hope that they, fight for your offer, present your offer well, and then you have, everyone has these different likes, and they have these misconceptions of what it is to, when they're ready to buy a home, their expectation that comes with that. Yeah. And then you have the process of, okay, you got a home, yes, but now it ain't finished. Not until
still more work to do.
Sign on that dotted line. What can happen from that moment to the point of, you may not never sign that dotted line, and how do you help them navigate through there? Yeah. And that is where it's like, okay, like, I don't celebrate. I celebrate small victories, but we have to not really celebrate until it's finished, And
that is challenging, especially for a new home buyer. Mm-hmm. Is, one is, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about the market and the multiple offers and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But once you, I found my place, they accepted the offer. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more work to it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Inspections and all other stuff. Yep. And so that in itself, like you said, could be challenging. Yes. What are some of the things that maybe one or two things that you've learned through the process as, being a buyer agent on the buyer agent side? What are some of the key things you've learned that you kind of show to others?
Patience. Yeah. You have to be patient, but you also have to put in the work. You have to stay in communication with the attorneys. You have to stay in communication with the banks, and you also have to help navigate the buyer through the process. Yeah. You have to inform them. You have to help them make informative decisions, and you got to just make yourself available. It's not about you. You're providing a service. Yeah. And so in that, how can I help you? What do you need from me? That's the part where you have to, it's all about being how you work with people, and then networking. You definitely need to network and meet as many agents as possible. You want to encourage your buyer. You need a team. Yeah. You need a good attorney. So as an agent, I like to shop around for attorneys for my people as well. Okay, this one's $650, this one's over here $750. I know that shouldn't matter, but it does sometimes because everybody's in a different financial situation. Yeah. But if somebody have a lesser amount, they're charging a lesser amount for an attorney fee, and they're a good attorney, I'm saying, hey, I did some work with this person because I'm feeling it out, and I'm saying, I'm gonna encourage you to call these couple people here, and you choose who you want to work with. But I want to help build their team to help them have success, So it's all about informing them and helping them be successful. And the buyer, from the beginning to the end, knowing that what you can afford, because and what that number is when you receive that approval, Okay, what that all means is the PITI.
Yep.
You know, purchase price, interest, taxes, and insurance. Now, all those got to fit in that approval amount. You know, and can you afford it? You know, the taxes are the game changer.
It is, and I think that's so important because I think, you know, I was buying my first home and getting my real estate license at the same time, and I was learning so much, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was highly disappointed about the whole multiple offers. Now, my first house that I was pursuing was in Buffalo. And I fell in love. What they tell you, don't fall in love with the house. So I did. That was my first thing I messed up on. So I fell in love with the house. Yeah. I put the picture up in my office. Oh, wow. And I kept looking back on the thing, and I'm like, oh, this is a house. Power.
Naming and claiming it. The power of, all of that.
And so my agent came back and he said, you know, there's about 10 offers on the house. And I'm like, okay, we can do this. It's like, you know, what the bank said I can do. Let's go, you know, the 7,000 over, and you know, learning about cash offers and everything else. That was not having my offer accepted was just like heartbreaking. Tell me, how do you walk through, you know, your clients on just understanding the whole multiple offer thing? Because it's still real in today's market right now.
It sure is. I just showed a client a house the other day. It was beautiful. And I was like, man. And I didn't want to show it to her. It was right on the cusp of what she could afford.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I hate when that happens because they fall in love. I knew she would.
Yeah.
And so I tried to tell them, I said, listen, I try to coach them. This is what you can afford. You're at your top number.
Yeah.
And the way that things are, I just be real with them. If it's a multiple offer situation, your chances are going to maybe slim, but we can still try.
Right.
Keep hope. But I just try to keep it realistic.
Right.
And I try to share with them, listen, you have an approval for, let's say, 100,000. Someone else has an approval for 150. That means already they're 50,000 above what you can do and can offer. And because of that, you know, just be mindful that, you know, if it's a multiple offer situation, then your offer may not be accepted.
Yeah. I
strive to keep it real because I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want to say, oh yeah, let's go for it. We're going to believe God. We're going to pray. We're going to do it. You know, no. I've strived to, like, even new agents say, like, well, what about hope? Like, people actually trying to come in below the asking price now, knowing it's a multiple offer situation type of, you know, season. And I'm like, no, that you said 5,000 under? No, boo, that's not gonna work. Not. You can keep hope alive. But I said the only time that's gonna work is if no one put any offers in. If nobody put any offers in.
Yeah.
And other than yourself. And even then, you want to evaluate, are you insulting the seller's intelligence?
Yeah.
Because they don't have to sell you, and we don't know if they're motivated sellers or if they're saying, hey, I can wait until somebody give me what I want, because it's still a seller's market because it's a shortage of homes.
Yeah.
You know, so I just try to keep it real. I strive to share with them the different scenarios. I strive to share with them to stay a little lower than what, you know, their approval is, so that they can have an opportunity to put in a good offer. And I strive to take advantage of those moments where they don't have a day that they're going to review all offers. Like, okay, this one says as soon as they come in, they go, let's go.
Let's go.
So
let's get this going.
I said, can you go today at 5:00? We're going to go see this house at 5. Okay, let's go. You know?
It is crazy. So like I said, this was like 6 years ago, and in the market right now, it's a little crazy.
It is.
So tell me, let's go to the seller side of business is, because this happened to me as well, is when you're working with the seller and they're overpricing their property. Yeah. Like, my house is worth $200,000, and you're like,
I had that. Yeah.
So how do you work through walking through your sellers through that process?
Sometimes the seller, they just headstrong about it.
Yeah.
And you just say, okay, let's try our best and hope for the best. But if it doesn't work out, you just know you did your best. and you walk with your head up and say, we tried our best. And then I'll come back with another type of strategy. Say, okay, we tried it this way. What about trying it this way?
Yeah.
But when a seller has an amount stuck in their head, what they want and what they believe they can get, there's no really pushing through that.
Yeah.
But you just do your best. And and for me, it's just, I know I did my best. And for the most part, the property's still on the market because they'll realize eventually. But by that time, they've gone through 3 or 4 other agents, because everybody's promising and going along. But the ones that say, let me trust in what you're saying. And it's all about trusting us.
Absolutely.
Trusting that we are out here in this market. We're not just playing real estate. We're really doing real estate. A lot of us are, and I think it's about building that trust. Yeah. So that's what with even the buyer is building trust, and even the seller is building trust with them. Let them know this is what I'm perceiving, and this is what I'm seeing. I'm showing market analysis. I'm showing the trends that's taking place. I'm showing how many days other properties were on the market, and this is what it's sold for, and how and why all those things matter. So striving to build that trust through the statistics that are out there that's given to us, for regarding the market. So. And if they don't follow, then you just did your best.
Yeah. Now, I love the fact that you talked about some key things, relationship, and then you mentioned the education portion of it. Now, there's obviously within the industry, there's good and bad.
Yes.
And I've seen agents that, just don't educate their clients. Let me just get this offer submitted, and then and some people have a bad reputation or perception of real estate agents.
Yes, true.
And some of it is just lack of understanding or just from hearsay. Do you feel, far as the education portion, because to me, what I've learned from it is the more that I educate up front, the less nightmares I have in the back end.
So true.
Is that kind of how you operate?
Yes, it is. I rather let them know, this is what, this is how it is. Even when when we talk about the taxes, and I tell them areas, if you're looking for Cheektowaga, if you're looking at Amherst, if you're looking in, certain areas that where the taxes are much higher, and you can only afford, let's say, $1,000 a month, you're not going to make it in that area,
right? Unless
it's a fixer-upper, and you have the ability to fix, get the money to fix the house up. When you get into Buffalo, the city of Buffalo or Niagara Falls, it's a little bit more affordable. And that 1,000 and under, you may be able to get into that, area. Yeah. But just being honest with them, and I show them through the taxes. I show them, I have my little handy dandy calculator. It's called the Carl's Mortgage Calculator. That's what I use. and I show them, this is what I use. And I said, here, download this app to your phone. And we go through numbers together. I screenshot. Okay, they say, oh, I'm interested in this house. Okay. I'll put the numbers together on the mortgage calculator, send it to them. I said, this is what it's saying what your mortgage payment is going to be. Is that comfortable for you?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's not. Okay. Then no, we're going to keep shopping. But if it's comfortable, let's go. It's worth looking at.
Right.
And we'll see if we got some wiggle room in case you need to put a higher offer. So that's what I strive to go through all those conversations. I'm repeating myself all the time.
Yeah.
Because I want them to understand I'm here for you. I'm here to educate you. I'm here for you to understand. It's not just about getting you in a house.
Yeah.
I take on, when you said you was feeling how you felt, I take on those burdens. I be feeling it for my clients. I'd be like, but the most of the time when I feel like this is the house, they get the house. Because I'm like, because I really genuinely take on their burden, help them find a home, So I'm like, you know what? I feel this. I like, or if I'm in the house with somebody else, and I'm like, I think so-and-so will like this house, and I'll wait to see if they don't like it. Because that's what real estate is like too. Because it's like,
you kind of wait to feel like when you show them the house. And I think what you mentioned too, the relationship is definitely the key. I just really feel like you are kind of like that support, that advocate for them. Because to me, I always feared the fact that, this one person and I helped get a house in Depew, and she comes back and tells me, and she goes to my church and she's like, oh, this is what I did with the house, and I remodeled this portion of it. I would really feel like, I guess for me personally, if I gave her something or offer her something or put her through a process that wasn't successful, because she has to live in that house.
Yes.
I didn't give her the right information. Like you said, didn't share the tax information and she's caught off guard. That how feeling like that is to walk away with having that, on your conscience.
And that happens.
And it does.
Because I've had someone going like, I love to show houses when it's raining. Because that's when you see that there's water in the basement. It's a wet basement. You can see if the ceiling's leaking, the roof is leaking. Just little things you can see that you wouldn't see. If there's a big puddle in the backyard, they didn't put on disclosure. It didn't say no standing water in that backyard. It's standing water all up in it reveals things, And I'm like, I have my galoshes on. I'm like, let's go. So I want them to see it in those moments, those times.
Want to be a guest on our show? We're always looking for entrepreneurs, business owners, side hustlers, and career shifters that are willing to share their life and business experiences, strategies, lessons learned, and pitfalls to avoid with our listeners. If you would like to be considered as a guest on an upcoming episode, email us at empower716@gmail.com and include your contact information along with background information about your business and share what value you can add to our listeners.
So let's talk about the one more process in the home ownership process, the contingencies. Kind of educate on what that is and what either the buyer or seller can obviously have that.
Yep.
Kind of explain what contingency is and what some of the things that you experience.
So there's 3 contingencies for both the buyer and the seller. Usually when you have a contract, there's options where, and some you can opt out of. So, the first one you have to have is it's required, and that's an attorney approval letter. So the buyer and the seller has to have an attorney approval letter, and that usually goes out within 5 business days. And that's the first contingency, because in those 5 days, either one of you can decide, because you're not in the totally locked into the contract. Where the seller cannot look at any other offers. Technically, they can still look at other offers up to that point until that attorney approval letter is signed or is sent out and received. At that moment, if something comes in where it's a little bit higher and the agent presents it, you can lose out.
Yeah.
So they can send an attorney approval letter saying withdraw. But hopefully most agents be like, hold on, let's go with this one. Let's see how things go. Get the attorney approval letter. So that's the first contingency. The second contingency is if you decide to have an inspection, a home inspection. A lot of times in this type of market, they're not having home inspections because they're trying to be competitive, But the home inspection also helps save you from losing your earnest money deposit. Honestly, I strive to encourage not to give the earnest money deposit until after the inspection, until they decide they want to continue with the purchase of the home.
Right.
And or if you come to terms of negotiations with the seller. If you come to terms with the negotiations, then I say, okay, now let's give the earnest money deposit. And you're not locked in totally. You have one more contingency, and that contingency is the bank approval. And that's if you have financing. If you're not a cash offer, there's financing, then you could get your earnest money deposit back if the bank does not approve your application. But if you choose to change your mind and that, just because, I don't want that house, I changed my mind, I don't want, then you can lose your earnest money deposit. And that's why the sellers, they want higher earnest money deposits, because that lets them know you're serious about purchasing this home, and you can potentially lose that money. And so that's why I encourage people, give as much as possible in the front. Show them how serious you are. And then your bank determines how that money is going to be processed on the purchase price of that home for you. They may be able to use it to buy down points on your interest rate. They can use it to come down on the purchase price. It can go towards your earnest money deposit. Your buy down. Not your buy down, but your down payment. So, those are things that I tell them to have those conversations with their mortgage lender when they get their pre-approval, so they have the understanding.
I love it. Thanks for breaking it down. Appreciate that. So Where is the market? Well, and I wanted to specifically talk about Niagara Falls, even though it's really the same in the Western New York area. But where is the market right now for? Because both the renters are having some challenges finding places, and then also someone who's trying to buy a home. So we'll start with the home buyer that, right now I want to go look for a house this summer. What is the market looking like for me?
It's busy. They're out here.
Yeah.
The folks are trying to, even with the interest rate even spiked up a bit.
Yeah.
They're out there. People are ready to buy a home. They're tired of renting. They're starting to see the value.
Mm-hmm.
It's the multiple offer situation, and it's the affordability.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's where you could, it's the affordability.
Yeah.
Most people are not making much more over $20 an hour. Let's say that the minimum wage, maybe $20 an hour. And if you're a single family home, you can only really afford maybe $100,000 home, if that, because you're taking care of your family. You have other things to take care of. When you want to go into a move-in ready home, those ones are a little higher. They're in the $200,000 range now. And the really nice, elaborate homes we see on TV, they $400,000 homes, and you're paying almost $2,000 a month for a mortgage and plus, and a lot of people can't afford that.
Yeah.
So the quality of home is what the challenge is.
Wow. And your with the quality then comes like basically your options are kind of too slim. So how do you, if a client is coming to you and where the market is, how do you, I guess, keep somebody encouraged? Because again, like you talked about, I tell everybody, this is me too included, is everything, all the expenses are going up. Yes. The income has been staying the same or going below. Yep. So me walking into the market and say, wow, I want to buy my own, I want to have my own. How do you kind of, I guess, encourage and uplift somebody's motivation through that process?
I strive to get people to look more at fixer-uppers. I do. I strive to say, listen, these are little things that you could, like you may see this and that. It may not be what the cosmetics may look a little funny, whatever, but you can make this your home, know, and through time, it can become what you would have always wanted. And also just tell them it's a waiting game. I've had people take about 2 years to find a home. Okay. And several people, but I never stopped working with them. They never stopped working with me, gratefully. And people say, "Well, you just got paid all your commission," but it's not about that. Yeah. Through the time of the time that we spent together, we become family, and that to me that's priceless. You become family with someone, and you reaching out, and there's always love there because you did it out of caring, not
it's
just
so
out
much
of that
better
commission.
that way too.
It truly is.
It is. I think it comes back because if you're not looking for always the quick, and it's like the relationship piece, it always connects, and God generally has a way of working it. Not generally, but He always has a way to work it out.
Yes, He does, and that's what I take out from it. But it takes time. Yeah. And you just wait for that moment and that time, and when it happens, for the most part, the experience that I've seen is it was just right. Like even though you start on the path, and I've heard blessings delayed are not blessings denied.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? So it means just wait for it. It's coming. Yeah. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep saving. Stay on that path. And then when it's time, it's going to come up. And that's how I just keep them encouraged. Try to keep them encouraged. Keep them active. Stay, but also keep them encouraged.
Love it. So what are, you got anything coming up this summer or this fall? Anything kind of special as far as community events or anything? I have been focusing a lot, to be honest with you, more with the youth and with my church. I'm trying to build more community involvement with the church, like the church with the community. Yeah. And so that's what I'm going to be working more so with this summer. I do have some different real estate events where we're doing the home buyers workshops. I just did 2 actually. Just had 2
the past couple months, and I had one and then it was part of another one. But it's more about the youth for me right now because they need to see that there are better ways.
Yeah.
So that is where my focus, and it's been with my church, with Bethlehem Revival Temple. I'm gonna throw this plug out there every fourth Friday, 7 p.m. Bring your kids and come and enjoy, a good message and word of encouragement. And we're also going to be having theater night, and we're going to have different things and different activities that we want to bring, even after service, to have fellowship with the kids and let them know that there's nobody, that they're not alone. They're not alone. There's others that are here that's going through the same things that you're going through, and we're going through together. We're coming out together. So that's what I've been working more so on.
And I commend you on that. It's an important initiative and focus to keep our youth engaged. There's so much that's going on. Even I was thinking like just social media in itself, and I just won't say social media, but just things in the world generally. It's a lot going on. There's all these messages popping up at you, and if you don't have the right foundation, how quick? I'm scrolling on Instagram or on Facebook, and then my mind is just like boom, looking at boom.
Yeah.
And if I don't have the right foundation established, I can be steered in different directions. Yeah. And if you don't have, like you talked about earlier, that good support system. And so we have a lot of young people who, for whatever reasons, may not have the right support systems there, may not have the right foundation, may not have good positive role models around them to kind of say, this is another option. And especially when it comes to, church, and a lot of people, either good or bad. Some people have their perceptions of what church is, what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. What's kind of your goal in that initiative? What do you hope to do with that?
Several things. So hopefully to create a space where they can have that experience. Yeah. Where they can hear from him themselves. To create that, that atmosphere. Because sometimes it's about, like you say, you're so distracted. Yeah. With just all kinds of things going on, social media, friends, work, whatever, trying to get money, all this. But when we get into that space of peace and feeling the rest of the peace and in that session, he speaks to you, building moments of having those experiences. And then also teaching them, if you don't stand for something, you can fall for anything. I know that's like a cliche people say all the time, but it's the truth.
It is.
Like you said, if you don't stand for it, you see these things happening, but that ain't for me. Yeah. Because I'm standing for something. And, and that's what it's about. Like, learn to stand for something.
Now, let me ask you this question. This is totally, off topic a little bit, but it's not. But do you feel, and just because, like I said, I'm a church leader as well, and so with our young people, do you think the church has been disconnected from our young people?
I do. Yeah. And I want to make sure I say that. I want to say this real quick. Stand for yourself.
Yeah. Stand for yourself.
And not fall for everything. Because it's an attack against who you are and what's inside of you. I like that. And that's what I want to make sure I correct that first. But yes. And it's not, the word says that the old needs the young and the young needs the old. We need each other. Right. And we need to learn how to bring balance to what's been and what's to come. Right. Not to be intimidated on what's coming, but also appreciate what was. You know what I mean? And so bringing those two things together I believe has been hard, because we don't want to let go. This is what we've been taught. Yes. But I've always seen him changing. God is, they say, he's not a changing God, but things have always changed. Yeah. The way things have been done has changed, but he still remains the same. So with that, how can we bring the two together and accept that we're not going to be like you? We come from you, but we're growing. Yeah. It's a growth, an upward growth, not a downward growth. We're not coming away from you. We're taking what you've taught us and we've learned, and we're running and we're moving forward and growing from it, not trying to tear it down. And okay, so as I'm growing through it, teach me how to not tear it down. Those old things that we need to have, as that foundation to keep us strong in our faith and not waver when new things come that are not lined up with
God. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's just so important. And it's funny that you mentioned this. I always share this when I jumped into leadership at my church, and it was this resistance of someone kind of younger, and I was deemed like younger because there were people who were like 15, 20 years older than me. And one of my things, and our first deacon of our church, I built a relationship with him. And it was important for me to get the wisdom from him.
Absolutely.
Because what I didn't want to do is disrespect him. I didn't want to just say what you did in the past ain't working and ain't, you know. So I learned from that experience is that relationship allowed me to, one is to move forward, where it gave him a sense of comfort of understanding who I am, where I was aligned with, that I wasn't just trying to get on a new wave, anything that came and go. It was just like, there's some integrity of how, you know, and I got to hear from God. I'm just not making out.
So true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I agree with that. And it's a tough balance that making people, you know, if you have that spirit of or seeing all of that and understanding that you got to appreciate, you know, the forefathers, or so to speak, or the people who came before you, understanding the present, but the future is got to be in there as well. And letting go. I'm teaching leaders that right now is
gotta let go and trust.
I'm waiting for somebody to take my position. And I'm giving information out. You don't have to hold it.
That's my experience, Lord. You're speaking to the choir right now. That's exactly what I'm experiencing right now. And they're saying, we want to move out the way. And then as soon as they see
those actions,
they want to grab it back. It was well. Why do you feel like you got to grab it back? It's good, you know. Yeah, it's a power struggle sometimes, but you know, you just got to trust God in it. And that's how I felt. I thank God that even like just on that today, someone sent me a word of encouragement because of how our fourth Friday went. It was a blessing. I bless God. It was how he showed up for us. And I said, the enemy just mad because it's about to be greater. And you got to stay focused on that, you know, that you're not fighting against them. It's a principality that you're fighting against. And it's not our fight on top of it. I said, I got to stop fighting. I gotta.
No, we all gotta be reminded that sometimes.
I just gotta believe. Lord, take this wheel, Lord. I need
Jesus, take the wheel.
Fight this battle, avenge my adversaries. You know, go into all of that. But he gonna do it because he's doing it.
He will. He will. He definitely will.
He's always showed himself to do that. To move people in their perspective place so that others can come forth.
Well, this has definitely been a good conversation. Yeah, we definitely learned a lot about the real estate aspect. And, you know, if you are, you know, buying a home or you're selling your home, it is a good time. Even, like I said, even from a buyer perspective, it's still good. It's always, to me, it's better to be prepared for it. And even if, you know, you got to know the realness of what's going on.
For sure.
And for sellers, this is a good time. But just
and honestly, sellers, be kind too. Come on, I know you want that money for that house. We know. You know, if I was in your shoes, I would want that money too. But sometimes it's like just be a little bit more, you know, willing to say, you know what, this was a beautiful house. We lived in it. That number is a good number. Let's go for it. Not going to the side of, you know, just be kind.
Be kind.
That's
you know, because you will possibly, if you just, you know, if you're selling your house, not in all cases, but you may be looking for another house and you want that same consideration.
I said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's my favorite saying. Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Western New York? Did you know that Empower716 Talk Show is looking to promote and recognize young entrepreneurs in Western New York? You could recommend yourself or someone else to be acknowledged on a future episode. Nominees need to be age 21 or under, has a service or product that offers value, has taken steps to become an entrepreneur, and must be willing to come on the show and talk about their service or product if selected. Email us at empower716@gmail.com.
Want to stay up to date with Empower716? Don't forget to share, Click here in the right-hand corner of the video and follow button below so you can see the upcoming episodes live on your news feed. Find Empower716 on LinkedIn Live, YouTube, Facebook, and other audio platforms.
So Niagara Falls, before we wrap up, I want to talk about Niagara Falls because Niagara Falls generally gets this bad rap.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want to talk about the positive things in Niagara Falls. And we talked a little bit about earlier, like, you know, why you stayed and bless you for staying, because a lot of people say, soon as I find some way, I'm out of here. And also like to be very like, I won't say transparent, but honest, because Niagara Falls is still moving gradually, slowly. Yeah. And there's things that, you know, when I look back and say, wow, I remember this in Niagara Falls. I remember going on Main Street. I remember this place on Highland and all this other stuff. And so when I drive through and, you know, visit still, my mom still lives in Niagara Falls, and sometimes I get like, but I think when I see so many people, like over these last few years, I've seen business owners, entrepreneurs, and people who are still seeing the hope in it, the potential in it.
Absolutely.
And I see gradual potential, and that's why it says you can't give up. No. So like I guess like far as the vibe in Niagara Falls, you know, do you see it moving forward, and especially for the African American community?
I do. I believe it's going to break.
Yeah.
I think something's about to break. And I believe as we keep pressing forward and keep just trusting the gift that we have to provide, to bring to Niagara Falls, something has to break. I raised my family there. And by the grace of God, there as well. You know, not everybody has that story. I know there's some kids that got shot, and that's sad. And I'm, you know, my heart goes out to the families. But there's a lot more of us can say we've raised our family there. We raised our kids, and the kids went to college, and you know, they've graduated, and now, you know, raising their family. You know, there's a lot of good that is going on in Niagara Falls. Like, if I was thinking about a couple people, and I'm right in the hood. I'm in the heart of it. Yeah. And it was convenient for me because the kid's dad, lived 5 streets over. So it's like, okay, he's over there, I'm over here. Like, okay, yeah, we, you know, they back and forth. It works. Their friends are in the neighborhood. The basketball course is up the street. The school bus, you know, it was convenient, but it was also family. Like my neighbor, we look out for each other. My neighbor across the street, she's Lakia. I'm like, what? Did you hear about? No, I didn't hear about it. You know, I love it. Miss Deb, I love Miss Deb, all my neighbors, because we look out for each other. You know, we have community in Niagara Falls, and we don't talk about that enough. Yeah. And I've, like I said, I've known a lot of successful folks coming out of Niagara Falls that are now doctors. You know, and I'm so proud to say, why do we not pay attention to that? And a lot of times, to be honest, those that I've heard that did get shot, they weren't even from the neighborhood. They were people that were from outside sometimes, sometimes inside, but most of the time it's like, did you know them folks? Like, no, they weren't even from here. Like, not that matters, but it's like, you got to realize it's not just, people come in and sometimes, and it's like, it's not like the people that's living, that's been there, that's been raising their families, that's going to work every day, that's trying to do good, you know, and try to create opportunity for someone else. There's a lot of good. Like, even with my daughter's going to college, she's now going to D1 college, full scholarship. Nice. I had, from the boys club, the folks from there, I can name names of folks that's been helping, that helped her get there from the city. I can name folks that's helping my boys right now in basketball and stay on track and do what they need to do to help them become something, you know, and hopefully get scholarships for school, for college. There's so many hands. Like, it does take a village to raise a child.
Absolutely.
It took the 7 women that helped me raise my son, because I had him at a young age. Thank God for them, that I was still able to finish high school and go to college and continue. You know, he now graduated from college. He's a staff sergeant in the Air Force, married, and now just had his first baby. Wow. That's family. That's Niagara Falls. That's what we've been doing that for years, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
The thing that's been the struggle is the control piece again, you know, of letting go of the, you know, the old letting go and let some new fresh come in with some fresh ideas, you know. But for the most part, we doing what we're supposed to do is raise our family and do, you know, and just do good towards each other for the most part. I believe it's more good than it is bad.
It is. And I think you hit on all the points that I was going to say to close this episode out. Is that is really the purpose of this podcast, is really to highlight entrepreneurs, business owners, because sometimes you can feel like you're alone going at it. And the key pieces that I got from this conversation is the strong support system, strong faith foundation, relationship matters, community matters, and just making sure you kind of keep that village and nurture it, because I mean that's really important. And I think you hit on a lot of good pieces, especially the portion of Niagara Falls and why it's important to kind of remember, because we know that in this world we live in, some, you know, on the front page you don't hear about stories of somebody who had the teenager who had a child, and you know, now their kid goes, you know, that person goes through high school, that person graduates, they have a family, they grow. You hear about the person who, you know, had a early teenage pregnancy, dropped out of school, went down wrong road. You'll see that on the paper, blasted, and it'll be, you know, magnified. Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing your journey and all the great things that you're doing in Niagara Falls, because like I said, I see you all over the place. You're, you know, every time I see a flyer somewhere, doing great things and educating. To me, this is where God shows me, and then we'll wrap this up. Is as God instills in me and telling me who I am, it allows me to help others. It allows me to pour into other people. Absolutely. And then as you're helping other people, God even shows you more, like what I need to improve on, how I need to handle these relationships, how I need to approach them, and what I've taken away from them, whether good or bad, because not all relationships are going to end the way you think. So I think that part of educating and not being what so-called the gatekeeper of, I gotta be the real estate agent and I'm only me, and learning that, you know, there's enough for all of us.
There's a woman that reached out to me just real quick, and she was with someone that she wasn't happy with as far as a mentor, and she wanted to meet with me. And I said, sure. She thought I was gonna be like, girl, come join my team. No, forget them. You know, I said, where you at? She said, I'm in one of them nice high class areas. I said, you know what? Don't you leave there. You stay right there.
Stay right up.
You stay right there and you learn and you rub elbows with everybody. I said, because we're not always able to get in those areas. I said, if you have an opportunity to be taught and how to learn that market, and because she said, well, I want to help my people. I said, you can still help your people. I said, you're going to have folks that you work with and that's going to have $100,000 home or $50,000 home, but you also can help people that's selling $500,000 homes and $400,000 homes. I said, you can do both. I said, so it's like, and she was surprised because people, come. I want you to grow.
See,
I want you to learn. I want you to grab whatever comes your way and don't think it's a bad thing. Think, no, make it work for you. And I showed her some of the things I told her, and she said she appreciated it and went on. It ain't all about that for me. It's about giving, and as you give, it'll come back to you.
So you talked about, this is something that I'm actually learning as well. So the development side, you talked about the commercial side. So commercial was a little too crazy for me. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to leave that alone. But the developer side. So tell me a little bit about like learning something new and getting into that kind of endeavors, like the commercial and developer side.
That there's money out here. That's what that's showing me more and more. Like, look, there's some money out here. These folks got some money, and you try to help me tap into it. I got to figure it out. Figure it out, Lord. There's some money out here because people are developing buildings all the time. And they just empty. But why did that building get developed? Because there's money out here. And people have learned how to position themselves to tap into that money. And that's what I'm learning. You know, how you flow with it, how how it works to position yourself, the conversations that come with it, the and what you need, the pieces you need to be successful in it. And it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, it doesn't take a lot. And I didn't realize it until you don't know until you get in there. It can be intimidating because you don't know it, but when he put you in the middle of it and you're starting to see the pieces, I'm like, this didn't take much.
Yeah.
And you learn, be courageous.
You have to. And I know this is the cliche saying too, is that, walking in, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And just like, and there's in certain spaces God allowed me to be in, and I was intimidated by like, I don't got enough experience. I don't know this much. I don't know what I'm talking about. And God continued to show me that's the place because I need you to be.
Yes.
You start learning stuff like, what? Okay, so this person has been in here 5 years, and I'm picking on this real quick on how to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm learning. And I think that's where like everything, you just keeping yours in the position to just learn.
Yes.
And not think you know everything. So true. Because when you get that ego, like, I don't know why I need to tell me this. I've learned so much probably over the last 10 years outside of, formal education, just understanding, building relationship with people, being willing and open to learn something new. Yes. Like, I can't do the numbers. I can't do this. And I'm kind of like where you are right now. I'm learning about the whole development side. And there's a whole world that I just stayed away from because it was just like, I ain't know nothing about this. I didn't hear about, nobody. It's
kind of scary. It's kind of intimidating sometimes. Like, how do you even begin? Where do you begin? Yeah. And it's like, and then because I was at a job and then somebody called me and said, I think this job over here is a good fit for you. And I'm like, well, I'm comfortable over here. I'm good. And they're like, and then when I went and I met with the woman, she needed help. And I felt her pain when she was talking. I said, she needs some help. Yeah. I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to help the lady. Okay. And you're right. I might learn something. Yeah. And I'm helping, bringing the gift that I do have when it comes to accounting and things, because that's another background that I have. And at the same time, I'm learning the process and how this whole development thing goes and how it looks. And I'm like, okay, in property management, how that looks, I wasn't getting exposed to that just doing what I was doing in this part of real estate. Yeah. Now I'm getting exposed to that in this part of real estate, and before that I was in the foreclosure world. So he's building me into this for some reason. Wow. But now it's like, I understand now. I'm starting to see it. But like you were saying, it's about being willing to step out and be courageous. Yeah. You never know. You never know what you're going to learn. You never know what's going to come across, that what you're doing now, where it's going to take you later. And you just trust the process on it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just enjoying the ride and trusting the process.
Wow. And you seem like you're having a good time at it.
I am. It's a work though, because I be at work all day. I'm like, Lord, I can't even play a little card game on my phone. Sometimes you will steal a little moment for yourself. No, you can't. It'll be busy.
Well, I definitely appreciate you sitting down with us and sharing with us your entrepreneurial journey and some of the great things that you're doing in the community. Definitely appreciate you. And so hopefully all of you have learned some great information that is going to transform your life. This has been another episode of Empower716. Peace.